Metafix is a show that teaches you how to think in the metagame. I am not here to give you the answers, nor am I going to tell you how to win. Metafix teaches you how to play in the metagame and how to react around the metagame and what is in the metagame. If you're looking for the answers, try HC Realms, check the forums, they have all kinds of neat toys and tools and teams being brought up, and check the results of a lot of the ROC tournaments or any Worlds tournaments to see how teams played out and what teams were used for. I'm just here to help you think. No, I'm not. I want to go back in time to a time when I was much younger. I used to like a type of game called collectible card games. I feel like I'm in AA right now.
Hi, my name is Jason.
My name is Jason. I used to play collectible card games. Start here. Hi, my name is Jason. You gonna help the gag, or are you gonna sit there back there and... Okay, let's start here. Hi, my name is Jason.
Hi, Jason.
I used to play collectible card games. They were a problem in my life. But they did have a fantastic effect on my learning with regards to the game of Heroclix. One of those things about collectible games in general, and any game that involves any form of strategy, is there's stylistically several ways to play. And one of them has made itself a little bit more prominent in Heroclix than it's ever been. But let's talk about the four basic strategies of all games and how they pertain to Heroclix. So, starting off with in my early days of the collectible card game, I used to play a style called the Rush. Now what the Rush is you're in your opponent's face doing as much damage as you possibly can as fast as you can. Generally a game done with a Rush deck would be done very quickly, both ways. If you win, you did it quick. If you lose, you did it quick. Now what these decks gave up was defense capabilities. So the deck, in that sense, would only think about maximizing the damage done to the opponent as well as stopping anything your opponent puts out as far as damage is done. So transferring to Heroclix, Rush is a strategy that does exist. We've seen it with Shatterstar. We've seen it with, back in the day, with Team Bases and Ghost Rider. Games that were done in 2 or 3 turns. And, I mean, that was a little excessive. It's okay to have an aggressive strategy that gets in your opponent's face real quick. It's a little obnoxious to lose in 2 turns. I'm not going to lie. Nobody likes to lose that quickly. So it becomes a matter of how are you going to be able to beat that. Now, I'm kind of doing this in a similar manner that I did with the styles of building teams, but when we do this, we got to talk about the way that you're planning on getting to the win. So, the next idea coming from collectible card games would be the control. Now, control in a game like Magic and a game like Heroclix is actually more similar than a lot of people would give it credit for. Ultimately, a control in Heroclix, your goal is to stop your opponent from aggressing. Your opponent is trying to kill your characters, and your strategy is to stop that. Now, we've seen that become more dominant with some of the special powers that have come out. Originally, in the early days of Heroclix, we had Mind Control, Incapacitate. Those were the kinds of tricks you would use to kind of mitigate your opponent and make your opponent his own problem and try to stop any form of aggression coming at you. Fast forward to today, it's a lot easier if you go back to my episode of being lazy. I mentioned 2 characters that can really push back your opponent and tell them, no, you can't. Another one is a little bit more active in the game and able to actually keep your characters alive by maintaining a high defense value. So now that we've seen that, we've seen the Rush. Those are like the 2 polar opposites. The control keeps the game at a slow pace and basically wins by attrition. It might do some damage, but it'll be very small amounts, or it will be bursty all at once late in the game. A rush deck will be, or a rush style team, it wants to win in as few turns as possible, and as soon as it can win, it's going to win. So we now move on to the balanced strategy, where you have a little bit of everything on your team and basically force your opponent to be ready to take on everything. So a balanced team is going to have elements of a control team and a rush team. And this often gets mistaken for the bruiser team. So there's a lot of teams that will bring in characters, but in order to bring in those characters, make sure they're protected. Of course, Captain Marvel comes to mind again. He often finds himself on these styles of teams, protecting the characters as best they can. And then he'll have two main attackers coming out. So we kind of see how the balance strategy does exist, and it kind of has a lot of the ability to be in the game. It doesn't do rushing very well. It doesn't do controlling your opponent very well. It does all of them to enough of a degree that they can get in there and fight, and then fight their fight. So then we move forward to the last style, the Swarm. And this isn't necessarily the hardest hitting. It's not necessarily the most controlling. It is the most overwhelming. When you come across a team that is a Swarm, you're going to be looking at the number of characters you have to kill, and it's going to frighten you. You're going to see a lot of characters across the table from you. You see a lot of actions ahead of you. Control teams oftentimes can only mitigate so much that's going on. And then when you have too many numbers coming at you, things leak through. And that is what a Swarm will do in these types of games, is it gets as many things out there as you can, more than you can deal with, and then just kind of leaks the little bit that it can through, and that is always generally enough, and then starts to get overwhelming. It's kind of like a rat, a series of rats. A rat digs a hole, and then his friend tries to get past him in the hole gets bigger, and then 4 more rats try to come in, and then all of a sudden there's a swarm of rats in your face, and they've broken through that wall, and then they're swarming in. Now, in Heroclix, you don't have more coming in often cases, but there are strategies that allow you more than you started with on the board with regards to the number of characters. There's multiple men. There's characters that create bystanders actively, like Larfleas, who can bring an extra 4 characters out on the board. So you can see where swarms can actually occur in the game. So ultimately, in collectible games, these are the 4 major strategies you see. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, you said attack but not defense. There is a defensive strategy in this game as well. A lot of the games that do have defensive strategy kind of lump it in with a control team. In the game of Heroclix, you are going to hear that there is a defensive team, and that defensive team is Bizarro, it's Resurrection Man, characters that can sustain a lot of beatings and not worry about it. Absorbing Man is a very defensive character. Will force your opponent to just attack and attack and attack and attack. And he might not take damage for an entire game, or he might take all of the damage for an entire game. So he's less of a good example than the Bizarro, say. But when you have to deal that much damage to a character, it can get really draining on you. And if you can't get that damage through, that defensive team can eventually poke you to death, which is very similar in strategies to the control strategy, where the control strategy is more about mitigating and being less defensive and not having to take anything in the face, whereas a defensive strategy is a control strategy that eats it in the face. A swarm often gets mixed up with an aggressive strategy, but it's not really the same thing. A swarm can be controlling, it can be defensive, but it is always overwhelming. And an attack strategy is always just right in your face. I hope this kind of helps you with some thinking about the things that happened in the game. I didn't use direct examples this time. This was more of a meta-thinking meta-episode. And it's one of those things we all have to kind of take into account when we're thinking about what can happen in the game. So, as a whole, I hope this helped as a little bit of learning ground, a little bit of thinking ground, something to think about when you're building your team. You don't have to necessarily build these strategies if you don't think you are. You just will by accident at some point. In the meantime, that's all I have for this week. Just remember, guys, practice makes your team better. The opinions and thoughts brought to you in Metafix are not meant for the casual game at the table.
Married with Clix is proudly sponsored by Majestic's Comics, Collectibles, and Games, located in Costa Mesa, California, near the Orange County Fairgrounds. If you don't happen to live in the Costa Mesa, California area, though, you can check out their website, linked down below, majesticccg.com, where you can check out all kinds of stuff to shop for, their regular tournament listings if you happen to live in the area, or if you need to shop, they've always got some Heroclix stuff if you check out both their eBay store, which is linkable in their website, as well as their online store, which I believe should be having product added soon enough. Also, they keep regular articles written by some of the great minds in Heroclix, including Adam Friedman, the 2014 Heroclix Nationals champ, and of course, the owner of the store, Patrick Yabjoko, the 2014 Heroclix Worlds champ, 2014 Team Worlds champion, as well as the 2014 DragonCon ROC champion. Wow, that's quite a year he had last year. I think he's going to repeat it in 2015, right? So, don't forget to check the link down below, or check out the store if you live in the area.